The legend of the boar's head. Once upon a time, in a quaint village nestled in the heart of England, there lived a brave and kind-hearted boy named Thomas. Thomas had bright blue eyes, curly brown hair, and a smile that could light up even the darkest days. He loved exploring the nearby forest, where he would often find beautiful flowers, chirping birds, and sparkling streams. But there was one thing in the forest that everyone in the village was afraid of. A big, scary boar with sharp tusks and fierce eyes. This boar was not just any ordinary boar. It was enormous, with bristly black fur and eyes that seemed to glow in the dark. The boar would stomp through the forest, uprooting trees and scaring away the animals. It would chase away anyone who dared to enter the forest to gather food and wood. The villagers were terrified of the boar and didn't know what to do. As Christmas was approaching, the villagers gathered in the town square to discuss their plight. The village elder, a wise old man with a long white beard, spoke up. "We need a hero to stop the boar so we can celebrate Christmas in peace," he said. The villagers murmured in agreement, but no one dared to volunteer. Thomas, who had been listening quietly, felt a strong desire to help his village. He was young, but he was brave and determined. He stood up and said, "I will go into the forest and face the boar. I will make sure it does not bother us anymore." The villagers were surprised and worried. Thomas was just a young boy. How could he possibly face the fierce boar? But they saw the courage in his eyes and decided to trust him. The village blacksmith gave him a strong stick, and the baker packed a small bag of food for his journey. Thomas's mother hugged him tightly and whispered, "Be brave, my son. We believe in you." Early the next morning, Thomas set off into the forest. The sun was just rising, casting a golden glow over the trees. Thomas walked and walked, his heart beating fast with a mix of fear and excitement. He was a little scared, but he kept thinking about his village and how happy everyone would be if he could chase the boar away. After a long walk, Thomas heard a rustling sound in the bushes. His heart skipped a beat, but he held his stick tightly and walked towards the sound. Suddenly, the big boar appeared in front of him, snorting loudly and looking very angry. Its tusks were as sharp as knives, and its eyes glowed menacingly. Thomas took a deep breath and stood tall. "Hello, Mr. Boar," he said kindly. "I know you are very strong and big, but we all want to enjoy the forest too. It's almost Christmas, and we want to have a happy celebration without being scared. Can we make peace?" The boar looked at Thomas with its fierce eyes, but it was surprised by the boy's calm and kind words. No one had ever spoken to it so gently before. The boar snorted and stomped its feet, but Thomas did not run away. Thomas continued, "If you promise to leave us alone, I will bring you a big feast for Christmas. You don't have to be mean to get food. We can all share and be friends." The boar thought for a moment. It had never had a friend before. Slowly, it nodded its big head. Thomas was very happy. He promised to bring the boar a special Christmas meal and hurried back to the village to share the good news. When Thomas told the villagers what had happened, they couldn't believe their ears. They were so proud of his bravery and kindness. They decided to prepare a huge feast with delicious food for everyone, including the boar. The village women baked pies and cakes, the men roasted a large turkey, and the children gathered fruits and nuts. On Christmas Eve, Thomas and the villagers carried baskets of food into the forest. They laid out a wonderful feast for the boar, with fruits, nuts, and other treats. The boar came out from the bushes, and to everyone's amazement, it looked calm and peaceful. Thomas approached the boar with a big smile and said, "Merry Christmas, Mr. Boar. We are all friends now. Let us celebrate together." The boar happily ate the food, and the villagers sang songs and danced around the forest. They laughed and shared stories, and for the first time, the boar felt what it was like to be part of a community. From that day on, the boar never bothered the villagers again. It had learned that kindness and sharing were much better than being mean and scary. Every year, on Christmas Eve, Thomas and the villagers would bring a special feast to the forest. They would remember the brave boy who made peace with the boar and taught everyone the true meaning of Christmas: love, kindness, and sharing. As the years went by, the story of Thomas and the boar became a cherished tradition in the village. Parents would tell their children about the brave boy who faced the scary boar with nothing but a stick and a kind heart. The children would listen wide-eyed, imagining the great adventure and the happy ending. One year, as Thomas grew older, he decided to visit the boar once more. He wanted to see his old friend and make sure the boar was still happy. He walked into the forest, just like he had done many years before. The trees seemed taller, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of pine. As Thomas reached the clearing where the feast was usually held, he saw the boar waiting for him. The boar looked older too, with a few gray hairs in its bristly fur. But its eyes still had the same gentle glow that Thomas remembered. "Hello, old friend," Thomas said with a smile. The boar snorted softly and nudged Thomas's hand with its nose. Thomas laughed and patted the boar's head. "I brought you a special treat," he said, pulling out a bag of juicy apples. The boar ate the apples happily, and Thomas sat down beside it. He looked around the forest and felt a deep sense of peace. He knew that the bond he had formed with the boar all those years ago was special, and that it had brought joy and harmony to the village. Thomas thought about all the times he had visited the boar and shared stories and food. He realized that the true magic of Christmas wasn't just about the feast or the decorations, but about the love and kindness that people shared with each other. It was about opening their hearts and making room for everyone, even those who seemed scary or different. As the sun began to set, Thomas stood up and gave the boar one last hug. "Merry Christmas, Mr. Boar," he said. "Thank you for being my friend." The boar snorted softly and watched as Thomas walked back towards the village. Thomas knew that the boar would always be a part of their Christmas celebrations, and that the legend of the boar's head would live on for generations to come. Moral of the story. From this story, we learn that even the biggest and scariest problems can be solved with kindness and bravery. When we treat others with respect and offer to share what we have, we can make friends and create a peaceful, happy world. We should always try to be kind and think about how we can help each other, just like Thomas did.